Hello people of YouTube, it's Deepak here, and welcome to the DCS News live stream for the 12th of February 2022. I hope you all enjoyed that latest F-18C tutorial there, all about the unguided rockets. It was a short one, just to get me back in to the habit of posting these. I was off last week, gave myself a little time off just to chill. I also didn't fly a DCS for a week as well, just as a total bit of time off, but I'm back now, back in the pilot seat and ready to rumble. Tog, welcome to the stream. Good way to saturate infantry with all those rockets. Yeah, that is a lot of rocket pods. Each time you're hitting the button, you're getting 8 rockets come off, and that's in single mode. On the ground, you can actually get the ground crew to configure them to all come off with a single press, which would be pretty damn devastating. So, hope you all didn't miss me too much over the course of the last week. I am very much back. But yes, as always, without any further ado, let's bring in the one and only dotChuckles, and let's talk about the news. Hello, sir. It has. It has been time. Time has passed, as it often does. Oh. And actually, stand by. I think I have the wrong audio device, so give me one moment. I can hear you, but I don't think the stream can. So let me very quickly fix that. There we go. Okay, try speaking again. No. No, you are not. Yeah, I don't even know what I've done now. This is very strange. I'm now going to very quickly check Discord and see if I can fix that. There's always going to be technical problems when you're live. So I take it you can hear me the whole time, yeah? Yeah. Yeah, the correct output device is selected. And yet you're not causing the moving bars on OBS to do their thing. You're very visible, but you're not audible to the people on the stream. Let me see if I can figure it out. I'm going to very quickly move it around a bit. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove Chuck's audio and then re-add it, because everything looks normal. So very sorry, stream. This is a little technical problem we're having. I think that I can... Oh, there we go. There we go. Yep, it's all gone wrong. It's all gone terribly wrong. Okay. That's interesting. I think momentarily I'm actually making it worse. Give me one sec. Because I actually doubled my own audio for one moment. And now we're going to try this one. Okay, try now, Chuck. No, you are not. What is going on? What is going on? And now? No, what have I done? What have I done? This is very strange. I've never had this problem before. For some reason, I am not picking up your audio at all. Which is weird, because I've selected the correct device, but it's not causing the... It's not causing the audio bar to move at all. If I switch it to this... Yeah. I have one last idea that I'm going to try. Let's see what happens. Because I can plug you into a completely different audio device, and then I can monitor that so that I can hear you. Because otherwise, I'm not going to be able to hear you. Okay. Okay. This is very strange indeed. Actually, wait, I think you're in the stream now, Chuck.
Am I? Really?
Yes. You're audible to the stream now, but not to me. So, okay, that's a step forward. That's something. Now I need to somehow monitor you.
See, this is what happens when Deepak fiddles with
I know
stuff.
that he's talking shit about me right now. but I
And
can't
he's
hear
fiddled
him,
with
so,
stuff.
we're gonna have to try and work this out.
He's broken it. And this is what happens. Like,
Now I can hear
you know,
you.
if something's working, don't fucking touch it.
Now I can hear you, and the stream can hear you. We've achieved parity. So, oh my god.
Oh my god. Stop fiddling! Just leave it when it works! Fucking don't touch it!
I got a new set of headphones, and as always happens with Windows, the moment you change anything with your audio setup in Windows, all your settings get destroyed and everything goes mental. So anyway, this is a solution now. Now everybody can hear you.
That was fucking painful. Right. Let's do the news.
Let's do the news. Very sorry, everybody. Sometimes these things happen in live broadcast. So as always, we're going to go for the Eagle Dynamics newsletter first. And they're bigging up VKB Sim, who are apparently making some World War II grips just now. So they have a radically revised KG-12 grip and a brand new throttle lever head. So this is looking very interesting. They've included some images, which I'll see if I can actually zoom in a little bit so we can make them out. It looks like a really quite advanced throttle with some extra levers and a bunch of button boxes, which is rather cool looking, I would say. I'm just quickly checking the chat to see if there's anything more than just making fun of me, but no, mostly not. Oh, and Chuck, for some reason your audio's gone away again, which is most strange. I think I know what's happened. Stand by. It's because I changed scene and didn't copy across the thing from the other scene. Let me have a little look here. Very sorry again, everybody. There, Chuck should be back again.
What a twat.
This is complicated stuff, man. This is complicated stuff. But yes, you are now audible again.
I forget not everybody does this for a day job. I should remember that.
I very much do not. This is something I just do for a bit of fun.
Right now, if it was my day job, I'd be at the back of the gallery fucking throwing pens at you.
Press the right button. Yeah, I was really confused as to why you suddenly stopped, and I realised I changed scene and I hadn't set up the other scene. But anyway, we're all set up now.
Right, okay, can we now? Let's actually do the news. Yes, I was looking at this. It looks really nice. I don't have enough of experience with VKB products to comment. It looks rugged. I'm not 100% sold on the design of that quadrant, though. It looks a bit, I don't know. It doesn't look. Yeah. I mean, I suppose they're really going for a tabletop market, aren't they? That like they're I mean, their stuff doesn't really have to be mounted, which I guess adds to its sort of wider appeal.
I guess so. Like, you know, what I've heard about VKB is that their stuff is just as good as Virpil and the other really kind of high-end people. But yeah, I guess
apparently their gimbal is excellent. Yeah.
And I guess they, as you say, the stuff is a little bit more kind of desk mountable, but that's not really, or desktop mountable, which is not something I really care about.
Yeah, same. And I think specifically with this World War II vibe, they're trying to go with the extra sliders and whatnot and bits and pieces. It kind of just sort of makes the ergonomics look a little funny. The thing is I'm sure they'll sell a ton of this. Especially if it's at the right price. So yeah. I think they'll shift a lot of these.
Yeah, and they claim the lever and the grip are based on authentic designs of certain World War II German aircraft. I wonder why they don't just name the aircraft that were inspiring them, but hey. And it complements the KG-12 and offers an unprecedented immersive experience.
I know why they're not naming it, because the thing is it's inspired by, and the second that they say it's inspired by, you're going to get a rivet counter come out and do, well, I think you'll find.
Quite possibly.
Yeah.
Yeah, quite possibly. A
So
bit too much.
They're just body swerving. They're body swerving that stuff, and I get it. I think they'll sell a lot of this. I think they'll sell a lot of it. I don't think they'll sell a lot of it to our market, but I think they'll sell a lot of it.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah, quite possibly. But it's cool, interesting that Eagle are shouting this out. And then we have something that I'm sure that all of us are very excited about. And that's the flare. I'm going to see, can we actually get the nice images? Yes, we can get the nice images. Look at that. So this is something that's looking far closer to being final. Because I know that they were still taking quite a lot of time to update all of the terrain and the unit types and all that sort of stuff to have these different emissive maps. And you can see here an example of Syria with something that looks fairly accurate. We're seeing the different temperatures of different buildings and versus trees and terrain and tarmac and so on. It's very cool looking.
Do you know, I looked at this image and I thought it looked like a little step backward. And I'm going to qualify it. It looks a little step backward. It still looks great. But then I realized, it's because I'm seeing a full screenshot of the full render engine in IR. What I'm not seeing is it on a MFD or a screen that adds that layer of believability to it. When I see it like this, I look at it and I go, doesn't look quite right. But the thing is you'll never see it like that. It'll always be in an MFD. So I think the way they've chosen to present that image perhaps has done them a little bit of harm. The second, see, like that, there you go, like where you're seeing the gaining happening because you're overloading, the screen. It looks amazing. Even better. It gets even better. That's looking like real life. And I just think it was that first image that I looked at it and went, well, that doesn't look very good, but it's because it's so out of context and not in the way that we would normally see an image like that.
Yeah.
So,
And
it just looks like real life. Yeah,
well, you're absolutely gating on the brightness of that explosion. It looks really good, I think.
Yeah. Suddenly you've got a couple of 1,000 degrees centigrade happening.
Very tasty.
Dog saying, shouldn't the roofs be hotter than the windows? I'd say you're probably looking at about the same. Let's have a look. Windows, I would say, should be about the same kind of temperature as the roof, but the walls should definitely be cooler.
There are definitely hot spots on the sides of some of this stuff. Let me see. I can't actually zoom it because it's an image, but yeah. Actually, it's some of this is probably still to be tuned. I'd imagine this is still pre-release because windows are very hot. The walls are kind of medium, and then the roofs of some of these look cold, which that seems wrong. But I don't know.
I guess it just depends on how good your insulation is. You want to get your boy from the council around to assess if you need cavity wall insulation. There you go.
And actually, let's go on to this actually, because I was about to mention something they mentioned in the newsletter, so I should probably just go ahead and mention it. Our new flare technology is progressing well. It takes into account how various terrain elements are rendered in the IR spectrum. This includes large masses of water, vegetation, asphalt, and concrete that have high thermal retention capacities. These gradually heat up and cool down at different rates, depending on the colour and material. This leads to bodies of water and forests looking cooler during the day and at night time seeming warmer. Houses, buildings, runways, and many other man-made structures often look warmer at night, as they've absorbed heat during the day and are clearly visible in the IR spectrum. In addition to the dynamic nature of all vehicles and changing heat signatures, which are dependent on their movement, we will continue to tune the terrains, associated map objects, and vehicles to bring you these enhancements in time for the DCS AH64D early access launch, which should be quite soon now. We're confident that the new flare technology will be available across all compatible sensors deployed in DCS. This is them touching on what we kind of mentioned 2 weeks ago, which was, they only mentioned like 3 aircraft, is nobody else getting it? But of course everybody's getting it.
Yeah, exactly. But I was just thinking, you can now do what the police do, and you can fly over a town and you can look for that one roof that's really, really hot. And, when you walk past the house, it's like, there's a funny smell coming from that house. It's a little bit It's a little bit hempy.
Oh yes, yes. Smelling a bit spicy over there, pal.
Yeah. I might send the boys in. Funnily enough, where I used to live, before I moved to my current location, it was very rural, and there were some farms further out. And one night that literally happened, and the police helicopters flying about with the thermals, and they found this outbuilding with a really high heat signature, and they raided it, and it was about 1.5 million pounds worth of cannabis.
Whoopsie.
In a barn. And the guy, actually, it's quite an infamous story. The guy that got arrested, he only did about a year and a half in jail.
Okay.
Yeah. So he'd clearly he'd clearly done some talking, and when he came out, he promptly disappeared and wasn't found for 6 months. And when they did find him, he'd been partially fed to the farm dogs.
Okay. Nasty.
Murder case. Yeah, nasty. Yeah.
Don't do these things.
Well,
people.
you know what they say: snitches get stitches.
More than stitches. So yeah, this is this is really cool, and it's really nice to see this, because we're hoping that this is coming out quite soon with the Apache. And then they go on to talk about the S3b Viking. So this is, they'd already mentioned this, but they go into a little bit more detail about what the S3b is. And I think we have some nice screenshots of it as well, where they're showing off things like the bomb bay and other little bits of geometry, the folding tail, which is kind of cool.
Nice to see, because that model is so old. The one we've got in game, it's just ancient.
Possibly one of the oldest we have still in game. It's properly ancient.
Sorry, Marcus, was the other half of him okay? No, very much not.
Very much not okay.
Yeah. Funnily enough, just to continue that story, it carried on. Somebody else was then kidnapped, and he was taken to a house where they gaffer taped him to a chair and proceeded to cut bits off of him with a katana. He escaped by literally diving headfirst through a plate glass window, still attached to the chair.
Okay.
Yeah, thing is, where this place was, it was like the most middle class area. It wasn't like fucking Breaking Bad, Albuquerque. It was like, this was like a really middle class area. Anyway, total aside. Back to DCS. Yeah, I think you're right. I think it is. It's like an original Lomac model. Flaming Cliffs era stuff. Yeah,
it was very much needing this this overhaul. So it's really nice to see this. Actually, this is going to be cool to see this in game, I think.
Yeah. I think it's nice as well, because we're seeing aircraft that tank off the S3 now.
Yes,
much more regularly with the sort of the fleet action. So there's a lot of people who are very up close to that aircraft all the time. So good to see it fixed.
Definitely. And that's everything that we had for this week's newsletter, but I thought it'd be worth us very quickly checking last week's newsletter, because we did miss the news last week.
Yes,
this one,
for various reasons we were away.
Yes, and this one, actually, the first half talks about the lunar sail, which is now over, so there's probably no point in us particularly covering that. That finished on the 7th of February, so we'll skip right past that. And then we have some development progress on the Hind, which is kind of cool. And one of the things that they showed in the development update for the Hind is this image, which is rather exciting. The fact that we will have door gunners in our Hind at some point.
Yes.
And this man looks very serious.
This kind of stuff was really, and I'm sure somebody is going to correct me, but I think this was really the last of the kind of big stuff to get added to the Hind. The sort of door gunners and the ability to move troops around, because it was such a complete for early access release that there wasn't a huge amount of sort of big ticket things missing, and this is kind of one of them. So it's nice to see that that's getting put in there, and that it's not being forgotten about because they've got bigger things on.
Oh yeah, very much. So yeah, what they say, because much of our Mi-24P team has been assisting with the H-64D project, you may have noticed that updates have been slim recently. Nevertheless, we do have good progress on the weapons department, work on the rear gunner cabin is finished, and we're working on the gunner model itself and AI behaviour. The rear cabin will contain a cored 12.7mm heavy machine gun, which is, those things are massive.
Yeah. That is a big boy's gun. That's oofed.
Yes, much boom boom. And apart from the rear gunner position, we're making good progress on integration of the R60 air-to-air missile. I didn't know about that. That's kind of exciting. The design of the cockpit panel and functionality aspects of the missile is almost feature complete. We're planning to make this missile available before remodeling IR missile guidance in DCS. In the avionics systems department, we finished work on Greben course navigation system, and we've also worked on the magnetic adjustment capabilities of the KM2 panel. So I think this is the thing where you set your declination in order for all your magnetic headings to be correct.
Wait, what? Just let's back up a paragraph here. We're planning to make this missile available before remodeling IR missile guidance in DCS.
I don't remember this being mentioned before, so that is a good one.
Where did that come from?
Although that said, they have been working their way through all the air-to-air missiles. So, they did a bunch of work on the Sparrow, on the AMRAAM, and so on. Actually, much earlier, they did a complete rework of the AIM-9X, which was pretty cool, because I think initially the AIM-9X was really just operating like a super-duper version of the older Sidewinders, whereas in actual fact the way it processes targets is entirely digital, and it's a very different missile in the way it operates. So I guess this is just them working their way through them all.
But nice to know it's getting looked at. Yeah.
Yes, indeed.
It's more core stuff. It's more core stuff that they're addressing, which is what we have hammered on about. So it's nice to see it happening.
Absolutely. And then the last thing they mentioned last week was the B1b Lancer, because we're getting some new screenies of that. Let me see if I can find them. Oh, okay, right. We only got a couple, so it's mostly the nozzles they've been showing us. So there you go.
Yeah.
Nozzles go big, nozzles go small. Nozzles go big, nozzles go small.
Again, another really old model. So nice to see it getting some polish.
And actually, they call something out specifically, which is interesting. And this is something that people had noticed in earlier screenshots of the Lancer. They are modelling the Lockheed Martin Sniper Advanced Targeting Pod for the B1b. And that's funny because I think it was 2 weeks ago now, or maybe 3, I don't remember. We showed an image of the B1b and chat shouted out, "Hey, is that a sniper pod on that pylon?" And I was like, "Huh? What? Yeah. Really?" And it was.
I'm right thinking we don't have a sniper on anything that we can play with, do we?
No. The only pods, there are various versions of the Lightning 2 and Lightning AT in-game, and we also have the AT Fleur. Those are the only pods we have in-game.
Because Sniper's pretty advanced, so I would have been surprised if we actually got our mitts on it. Or certainly the current generation of Sniper is pretty advanced.
Yes, it is. And we're also working on updating many other AI aircraft models to 2022 DCS standards, and they look forward to sharing progress with us soon. So that's nice to hear.
Calling out Tu-95, absolutely. That model again is another original, as is the B-52. Yep.
They've shown us images of the B-52, so we know they're doing the B-52. Tu-95, I don't know. I've not seen images of that.
It's got to be. I mean, they've got to, because it's such an iconic aircraft. It is such. I mean, certainly in the UK area of interest, probably 90% of the intercepts are done on Tu-95s.
That's true. We see rather a lot of them. They like to drop in and visit.
Yeah, it's the maritime version that we usually get pinged at, get sent to us that tend to sort of go around our coast. And I forget its designation. It's the one that is kind of more kitted out for Elant.
I'm not sure.
I can't remember its designation, but it's the Tu-95 that's got all the ELINT stuff on it. That they're having a good old listen.
Yeah, that would make sense. Something else that happened recently was that we got an update to Open Beta, a pretty small one on this occasion, mostly just some little fixies here and there. They've adjusted the AIM-54 terminal guidance in the F-14. That was one of the ones that popped out at me straight away, because of course everybody was complaining about the Phoenix after one of its most recent updates.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's been sorted. Anything else exciting? Not really.
Not really.
Small fixies.
Not really.
And then even more recently, there was a hotfix that had a single changelog entry, which was really just that they bumped the version of the network protocol. Because I guess they introduced some incompatible change, but forgot to actually bump the protocol version, and so people on OB and people on stable were having probably problems. So
and calling out Marcus a stable update and an update to stable. Do you know, we always forget to talk about stable branch, because I can't remember the last time I was on stable branch. I think it was sometime around about 2012.
Probably,
but yeah, stable got a bump as well. So
yes. Yes, indeed. Oh, just to address Tog in chat there. Yes, I know that the audio setup today is not ideal. I changed headsets, and like I said, it totally messed up Windows. So I'll be working on that for next time and make sure that I've got a perfect setup again next time. But I think we'll get by for now. More images of the Pucara and the MiG-23 ejection seat on Razbam's Twitter. This is I'm finding this kind of thing bothersome, that some of the developers, some of the mod developers only post stuff on Twitter and on Facebook, which means I don't see it because I don't use either. But anyway, we'll figure that out. We'll get to that. Something else that happened recently was our man Matt Wagner posted a bunch of mini updates about the F-16, and to my mind these were pretty interesting. So he mentions the fact that their focus right now for the F-16 is really the Link 16 and the data link. And he calls out a bunch of features, some of which I've used before in Falcon 4 BMS, so I knew that the F-16 has actually quite an advanced data link. It can transfer a lot of useful stuff, but some of this was things I had never heard of and didn't know that the F-16 had. So this is really rather cool. So he mentions the ability to share mark points between flight members. That's pretty cool. Share your current SPI. Network the flight together for HARM HTS TDOA mode to more effectively triangulate emitter locations. That's some bloody Star Wars stuff right there.
Yeah.
Sending seed contacts between flight members. Assign air-to-air target sorting between flight members. Assign air-to-air target sorting. Wait a sec. No, I read that twice. Support primary data link tracks. I don't actually know what that means. I'm wondering, data link track, would that mean the ability to create a firing solution based on data link information only?
Data link.
Yeah, I wonder. That's what it sounds like.
I think so, because Bull, who is our the head of he's Jesus, my brain's fucking crashed.
3 Squadron squadron leader.
Bull 2 Squadron officer commanding was talking about the F-16's ability that if you've got an AWACS up, you can effectively entirely stealthily engage, launch, and splash stuff.
Yes.
Without ever having to have turned your radar on. Like, the first warning they will get is when when your when your AMRAAM goes pitbull and goes, "I see you, you're done."
Yes, indeed. They also mention CAS mission assignments and reception. This is functionality that the Harrier and the A-10 have, and I didn't know the F-16 could do this. This is bloody cool. Getting data-linked contacts directly from your JTAC.
Is it not all the same
good.
data link? Is it not all the same data link? I thought they were all link 16.
No. So the F-16 and the F-18 are Link 16. Harrier is ATHS, and the A10 is something else again, which I can't remember. So actually, it's three completely different data link systems. Now, in the real world, you can use an AWACS or a JSTAR to gateway between these networks.
Yeah, they have fusion between the systems, yeah.
But you need to have the right assets in the air to provide that gateway. So by default, they cannot talk to each other. So yeah, chat, if you can remember, tell me what data link the A10 uses, because I've forgotten, but I know it's different. And the Harrier one is a total oddball. Nobody else has the Harrier one.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the F14 is, if I recall correctly, Link 4, which is the predecessor to Link 16. But it has much of the same functionality. So yeah, battle damage reporting support as well, which sounds bloody cool. So while they're doing this, they're going to roll in EXP, HAD, and HSD support. So I guess that's the ability to zoom in on your HSD. And yeah, a whole load of different stuff. In parallel, other Viper items continue developments such as the instantaneous turn rate, available G-tuning, pilot model, bug fixes, and more. So this was his first, like he did a bunch of these. This one is from Monday. Tuesday, next day, he goes into more detail about the Link 16 stuff. So he talks about they've just implemented the SPI sharing and how that would work. So it's pretty cool. He talks about the symbology and things like that. We won't go into too much detail here just now. I think you can read these. This is on the Viper Mini Updates post in the F16 part of the forum. But something that's cool is they talk about implementing some of the additional Bitching Betty voice messages, which I've heard in the past, but aren't in DCS yet. So things like the data callout and the lock callout, which it uses when you auto-lock using ACM modes. So very, very cool.
Yeah.
And then he talks about the DTOS mode, because he claims he got a few comments about things that were missing. And so on. He claims that it's now in the game. So yeah, where's the max toss anticipation queue?
Yeah, and the fact that when he demoed DTOS, he didn't actually do a DTOS profile. That video was all kinds of wrong.
It was a bit weird, and I think the thing is, did it not? I think it was published on the day of one of our news things. I think we started the news, it turned up, and then we jumped in.
Yeah. That's right. And we were like, that's not a Dtos profile. What?
Yeah, we were both like squinting at it, like, something's weird here. I don't think he actually did the thing. Dear.
Yeah.
Very cool. But anyway, yeah, he claims that there's a bunch more of the symbology now implemented. And to finish a busy week, excuse me, we've added mark point exchange between flight members and hearing of the lock voice message when an STT lock has been obtained while in an ACM mode. I always remember this playing Falcon 4. You know, you're in a dogfight, you switch on your ACM mode, you get somebody on the nose, and you hear that lock, and all the symbology pops up. So it's nice, nice to see that.
Yeah. And there's been as well, like I think some people have pointed out that some of these dogfight modes are all a bit wrong at the moment. So you know, it's good to see that they're sort of addressing these, you know, these problems with these modes. So I think the Viper boys are going to be quite happy.
There's a lot going into it, and actually some of the recent things, I'm going to do some bonus videos on the F16 now because a bunch of extra stuff has been added. And one of the ones I want to do is the updates to the no, it's not the TWS. The updates to the TWS symbology, because we now have the AMRAM in flight symbology telling you, this target has an AMRAM on the way, it's gone pitbull, time to impact, all these extra stuff, all these extra things we didn't have before, and the updated DLZ to make it, or DLZ if you're American, to make it correct, because it was a bit wrong before, and they have improved it.
And I mean, I think the F16 of the ED modules, this is the one, that is the most behind in terms of its development.
Yes.
Not behind in terms of schedule, but had the most stuff needing done to it. So, it's just good to see they're on top of it, despite, having something in the oven that is really big. So, yeah, good stuff. Very good stuff.
I think that a big part of it is the fact that the F-16 is so versatile and the avionics are so complex. Like, it does everything. So it's not surprising that it's taken them time to put all of these things in, and that there are missing little details here and there that they're knocking off bit by bit.
Yeah, it's understandable. It's totally understandable.
Yes. Hello, you guys from the Middle East. Hello, Rel. Nice to see you again, sir.
Hello.
So yes, that was it. Take a look at this, because there's a lot of really interesting posts that Wags has thrown into the Viper mini updates just in the last few days. He was doing one a day during the course of the week, so well worth a look. Next, we have.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's they've needed to push some stuff out, because I think there's a bit of disappointment floating around at the moment. So good to keep the masses happy. Let them eat cake and all that kind of stuff. Disappointment?
What could they possibly be disappointed? Oh, wait a minute. There we go.
No idea. Oh, hang on. Here we go. Yeah.
Is it that? Is that what they were disappointed about?
Yeah. This, do you know? Right, we are now with these videos, because this what we're talking about here. This is the 2 TADS videos that has been released. One of the kind of mine canaries that we like to hold up and occasionally poke the cage of as to when a module is going to come out is we need to have seen sort of 3 key videos. The startup video, startup to taxi, the sensors, this is how you find stuff, and then the weapons, this is how you shoot stuff. And what we're seeing here is the first of those 3 videos. Which is, and they've done it in 2 parts, and I understand why, because the TADS is hella complicated, is that this is how you find stuff. And oh boy, is it nice. Is it nice.
Something else that I want to call out is the fact that at the start of the video, there was a helicopter in the background starting up, and they'd called out just a week or 2 back that they hadn't worked that out yet. So they're obviously showing off the fact that, yes, we can now start helicopters up.
Yeah. What this video brilliantly shows is that there are so many different ways that you can achieve what you want to achieve with the Apache.
Yes.
Also, the action between the front and the back cockpit. So yeah, I mean, it's brilliant. And again, Casmo TV knocking it out the park minutes later, stuck a video out with, so there's this TADS video, right, this is how we do it in real, this is the real world application of all this stuff that Wags has shown you. Because what Wags has shown here is it's the bare bones, it's the facts, it's this is what it does. What Casmo's video did was, right, this is how you use it. And he sort of explained the banter between the back and front cockpit, how you can select, the sensor that you're monitoring, how if a pilot sees a target, you can get the TADS onto it and, lock it and laze it, and then, the pilot can carry on doing other stuff. I strongly suggest you go and check his video out. But yeah, we're starting to see the big videos that we need to see before a module can get released. So
yes,
quiet optimism, but I don't think we're there yet. I think we've got a little while to wait.
Most likely, sadly. But yes, this concept that the TADS can be handed back and forth between the front and back seats is really, really cool, and that it can be commanded by the helmet. Because this situation that you describe, where the pilot has seen something, the CPG hasn't, they can actually just go, right, you give me the TADS for 1 moment, click, there you go, and then hand it back.
It's even smoother than that, because your CPG is scanning the TADS about, but he's got the sensor of, it's not the sensor of interest, it's whatever the...
it's like the selected sensor.
Equivalent of the selected sensor, which would be the pilot's line of sight. So all the pilot has to do is say, gunner, target, my line of sight. And the CPG presses the slave button, and then the TADS will slave to his line of sight. And then he presses the slave button a second time, and it stays there, and now the pilot can look away, and then he can laze that target, get an updated position on the target, and store it as a mark point that he can then share or act upon or call a strike on, do all sorts of stuff. So really interesting back and forth that the CPG. But of course, the inverse can happen as well, is that the gunner can say, pilot, I've got a target here, and then the pilot can have the TADS as his, kind of little indicator, and he can look over and can go, oh, cool, it's there, and then fly towards it. So, it's, it's going to be brilliant. It's going to be brilliant.
Absolutely. It's looking very, very nice. I very much look forward to flying with you, sir. It's going to be a good one. Yeah,
it's going to be immense. It's going to be immense. But again, I think certainly in multiplayer, crews, they are going to have to really up their communication. There's going to have to be a constant back and forth between the back and front seat.
Yes. Actually, I'm going to give you a chat-style question because I'm interested. Day one, you get in the Apache. Which seat?
For me?
Yeah.
Back.
Yeah.
Back seat. Yeah, back seat. Yeah, aircraft commander, fly it. Yeah, that's my day one. That's my day one. Absolutely.
Very well. I was curious.
Then I will build up my front seat ability, but yeah, it's going to be all about being in the back seat, charging through a valley, doing my Nick Cage. I am the greatest. I am the greatest.
Very well, sir. Well, now I know what to expect.
For anybody that's not seen that film, Wings of the Apache in the UK and Europe, and I think Firebirds in the US. If you've not seen it, track it down. Finest Nick Cage moment. It was Nick Cage. They tried to do Top Gun with helicopters and Nick Cage, and yeah,
I can imagine. As always, he was a bit mental.
Yeah. He was, well, there we go.
Everybody's saying they want to be the pilot. Everybody wants to be in the back seat. I look forward to trying to be a CPG. I think that would be a bit of fun. So, I'm happy to hear that you're most interested in doing the back seat initially. So I'd be very happy to sit in the front and push some buttons.
Because the way we're certainly going to operate it, and I think a lot of online groups are going to operate it, is we're going to do it like the real world, is that you're going to have to qualify in both. Because I think as an online group, I mean, we were discussing this just the other night, that you can't have like 10 pilots, but then you've only got two CPGs sitting about.
Yeah.
Or the inverse, where you've got like 10 CPGs and no sub that can fly, so everybody's going to have to get qualified in both seats, or have at least some kind of proficiency in both seats, I think. And that's certainly how we're going to run 6AAC, is that you'll have qualifications in both.
That makes perfect sense. Chat asking the important questions. Dot, have you been driving around with a periscope strapped to your eye?
Have I driven a Jeep with a periscope and some women's panties on my head? Only for fun.
Yes, only at the weekend.
Only the weekend. Yeah, I mean, this is actually a big deal for me, because so I have an issue with my right eye, and that I have issues with one eye is quite a lot worse than the other, and the right eye. So if I'm only presented information on my right eye, it'll just be a blur. So I fly primarily in VR, which is fine, because both eyes, they kind of compensate, and then my brain figures it out. But if I understand at launch, the PinViz and sort of helmet-mounted sight is only going to be on the right eye in VR, which means I might have a bit of an issue, because it's just going to be a blur. Like, everything outside the cockpit will be focused, but all my information is going to be blurred. Yeah. So, and they have said, and it took some digging. It was, I actually took to the forum and was like, so and they said, oh, we've already said, and it was like, where? And they got really uppity about it, and eventually it came out that it was mentioned in one line, in one comment on a random video on YouTube that Wags did, that yes, we're doing both. So it was a whole thing, and it kicked off in the forum and blah blah blah. And admittedly I was a bit shirty about it, but there we go.
It makes perfect sense that they would implement it because they've done it for all the other helmet-mounted systems in game.
Yeah. So it'll be a thing. It'll get fixed and it'll be fine, and I'll be able to use it. But I'll have to be MFCD only until they do that, or really have to struggle to squint to see what's going on.
It'll be fun. So.
John Bloor, he said a thing. It would be interesting if someday you configure the helo in game to do the bag. I would not be surprised. So for people who don't know what the bag is when you are in training with the Apache, is that they effectively entirely black out the rear cockpit. So that the pilot can learn how to use the PinViz system without any reference outside, and the instructors in the front seat who can see and take over if things go wrong. I wouldn't be surprised because they kind of implemented the bag in the L39.
They did
for instrument training. But I think Casmo mentioned this and said it would be really interesting to see, because he did this video that dispelled a lot of the myths about PinViz, that Apache pilots can read two books at the same time with both eyes. And he says it's all bullshit, it's bollocks, you can't. It's all just about being able to switch focus between the eyes. And he said it's actually not as hard as people say. He talked about the bag, and he talked about that it can be quite disorientating, just from your brain kind of coping with motion sickness and all that kind of stuff. And he said you can feel a little bit bleh after a while. So the bag has been talked about, and I know he's part of the testing team, so I'm sure the conversation has come up. So I would like to see that kind of thing implemented. I think it would be really fun. I think it would be really good.
Very cool. It'd be very cool.
Yeah.
I'm going to jump out of this video because we have another Tws video. He made a video called Tws Part 2, where he showed us even more of the cool stuff that it can do. And I really like this external shot here where the system is kind of rotating and tilting as the helicopter is hovering. Yeah.
And again, it's got quite a high speed of motion. I think it's 140 degrees a second or something like that. So I mean, you can put it into your monocle and cue it that way, and you'd really have to move your head quite quickly to sort of have it lag. It's like I say, we're starting to see key videos now that we need to have seen before a module can launch. So it's this is good stuff. This is good stuff. Seeing this stuff come out, I think we're probably looking at it's going to come out this quarter, but I think maybe towards the end of this quarter, if I was going to put
put the money on the table.
Put the money on the table. I think we're looking towards the end of this quarter, but I think it is going to be this quarter. That said, they could entirely surprise us when we get a stealth release, but I doubt it.
Yeah, it's looking good, but I'm very interested to see that startup video because, I'm a systems guy. I find the way that these systems are simulated in the sim very, very interesting. The electrical system, the hydraulics, the fuel system, and so on. I want to see it in action, and I want to see a startup.
There's actually not a massive amount to do in starting up the Apache. It's in terms of getting it turning and burning. There's not a huge amount to do. It's pretty easy. It's more system setup, and the cockpit is so configurable. And Apache pilots have their own favorite ways of setting their cockpit up. So a lot of it is getting your systems online, tested, set up to the way that you want it and like to fly. So I think that's kind of going to be the majority of where your startup is.
Channel Right saying, seems that the Apache is ready. with these videos released. I disagree. If it was ready, they would have been showing us, launching weapons, the startup. There's key stuff that they haven't shown us yet, most likely because it's not ready yet.
And as well, I think there's the AI is part of the area that they're talking that is needing a lot of love, and there's not a lot of way you can show that.
Yeah, true. Oh, and this actually, in this video, we're seeing the new Fleur, because I'm not 100% sure, but I feel like the previous video was the old Fleur system. This one looks distinctly different from what they showed us in the first TADS video.
Absolutely. John Blair has just said here, I think the Apache is going to be a game changer. A lot of new eyes on DCS, both from players and the industry. It will open up new licenses and markets. 100% agree. I'm not sure if you're a regular viewer or not, but this is something that we've mentioned about. I think we spoke about this before Christmas. It is my opinion that this is going to steal a lot of players from Arma. Yes, because Arma has an excellent mod that puts a 64D in the game. It's very high fidelity for Arma. It's not a DCS standard, but it's very good. And I think this is going to yank a lot of players out to DCS in the same way that the F16 took a big chunk out of the BMS player base. So yes. I think you're 100% right on that. That's it's going to be a bit of a game changer. Yeah, yeah, you're not wrong. That's been our opinion for a while.
Yeah, this is looking very, very nice. I'm excited to get my hands on this bad boy. And something else that I'd really like to get my hands on. Let's take a little look at this. What is this, dotChuckles?
Oh, crisis.
What is this?
Yeah.
So, as engineering and programming of systems on DCS Eurofighter progresses, work on the new Eurofighter cockpit model draws to a finish. The Eurofighter is slated for release after DCS F4E, which launches later this year. So they're only saying after. So we don't know when this is coming, but we know it's not this year.
Yeah. So, full of caveats on these pictures.
Yeah.
This is not an engine.
This
is the high poly. This is also the high poly model. So if you know about how PBR textures are done and texture in general is done, you create this high poly model that you use to bake textures onto that are then retopographed onto a lower poly model. So it's not going to look like this in game. It's not going to be this level of detail in game, but it's going to be very, very good. The second thing is this was modeled by hand. This is not a 3D scan. This was done by hand. I forget the guy's name, but he's one of the True Grit guys. He modeled this cockpit. And it's all done off of, measurements and plans and all sorts of stuff done by hand in a CAD system, which is amazing because his level of detail is incredible, even down to the springs inside the the guarded switches. It's just next level.
It is looking very, very nice.
Yeah,
I've always liked these the push buttons with captions inside them that the Eurofighter has. You don't see that in many aircraft. Somewhat reminiscent of Airbus, but the thing is, I think the Airbus captions are static, whereas I believe the captions in the Eurofighter's buttons change.
Yeah,
They're
change.
actually little displays.
Yeah, they change. Yeah, they basically invented the Stream Deck in like 1998.
Yes, they did.
And stuck it in a fighter.
And then again, having the engine instruments right up there on the UFC is really, really cool. I like that. So there's a bunch of stuff that the Eurofighter does that's really pretty cool, and I'm not even sure if any other modern aircraft are really up to this standard of the UI. You know, I know that, you know, very modern aircraft, of course, like the F-35, you know, they've gone complete touchscreen. So, you know, this is the Eurofighter is probably the most advanced non-touchscreen aircraft. But they have taken physical controls basically as far as they can go. This is very, very high level.
Yeah, I mean, there is some debate around how good touchscreens are as a human-machine interface, especially in high G, like high-stress environments.
Yeah.
There is some opinion that actually it's a bit crap, and that what you want is more physical, tactile control that you can brace against, you can, you know, actually push. Or you never have to touch anything, and it's all on your HOTAS. It's all, you know, throttle hands on, you know, hands on throttle and stick stuff.
Well, you know, my personal experience is really just in cars, but in, you know, and I've driven many cars that have got touchscreens. Even just in a car, having to anchor your hand on the edge of the display and use your thumb, because otherwise you're moving around too much and you can't hit the buttons you want to hit. You know, that's just way worse in an aircraft.
Like, have you used like any of the higher end Garmin stuff?
Yes, I have.
Like, because I know you fly the Diamond
GA40. But the version of the Diamond G1000, the original G1000.
Yeah.
So no touchscreen.
Yeah. Right, no touchscreen. But have you used a G1000 or played with one?
I've played with a G3000, which is the one that is then touchscreen.
Right. Yes, it's a touchscreen. It's shit. It's awful.
It's not shit, but you do have to do this anchoring. So like you have to use all your fingers to hold your hand in place and then touch stuff with your thumb, and that's a bit rubbish.
I played with a demo unit, and I was like, this is gonna piss me off. This is going to piss me right off. Having to hang off the bezel and fuck, I've hit the wrong thing. Fucking, just give me a button.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. That's true. And actually, even the G1000, it has a set of push buttons down the bezel and then twiddly knobs. Even those in the bezel, I sometimes miss. Under maneuvering, so even buttons are sometimes not good enough. So to go to a touchscreen is just like atrocious in some cases.
Yeah, I mean, I use occasionally for work. I use a Syntec or a Cintiq, which is it's like basically a large graphics tablet that has a screen in it. And when it's flat on the desk, it's fine because I'm kind of braced, and you know you can manipulate the touch controls of that. But when it's up on its cradle and facing you, and you've got to hold your arm out, and you're just like, oh, fuck off, give me a keyboard.
yeah, pretty much. Byron making an interesting point. The Dragon capsule from SpaceX has a bar to rest your hand on while using the touchscreen, and that makes perfect sense. That would make it a bit more usable.
True. I think that there was just a fashion in human machine interface to make everything touchscreen with like you know, that's cool, but let's actually consider some ergonomics here. So yeah,
I have seen the India Foxed Echo F-35 in Microsoft Flight Simulator, and I saw the guy, of course, interacting with it with a mouse, but it looks like the touch areas are large, and everything, like all the graphics are just line art. It's like super basic, super easy to follow. I think it looks really, really good. However, you know, who knows what it's like once you're maneuvering. I guess the thing is, you shouldn't be using the touchscreen, really, once the aircraft is set up and you're in flight. All of that should really be done on the ground, maybe very rarely touching it while you're in the air. Pretty much everything you're going to do in combat is on the throttle and stick.
Yeah, and it's. I mean, I think where sort of, you know, these kinds of systems, you know, touchscreen systems have their real benefit is that you can reconfigure the screen real estate, which means you can have the information presented when you need it rather than having it all the time when you don't need it. and it potentially getting lost in your scan. You know, it really puts the stuff that you need for your scan for that phase of flight right there, which is why, you know, the system is really good. But what I've always liked about how the Eurofighter did this was that you still had physical tactile controls, but they reconfigured depending on your phase of flight. And I think for me, that's the ideal. That's the perfect system, you know.
It does look really cool.
Yeah.
It looks really, really cool. I'm looking forward to it. We've started a discussion in chat about user interfaces in aircraft, which is really cool to see.
It's great. Yeah. Me and my C-152 in turbulence trying to squat code and can't hit the buttons right. They're so small!
Yes.
Why is the buttons on that transponder so fucking small?
And people, David here talking about a trackball, and actually, the A350 and the A380 both have a trackball, and it can actually you can dart the cursor across different screens, which is really, really cool. So yeah, a very interesting interface.
I'm just put in mind of the only damn control when I used to glide, the only damn control that I used to have to manipulate on the dash all the time was the volume for the Vario. And that was awful because it's miles away and it required you to swap hands on the stick and reach out and try and find this tiny little knob. So it's like, please stop blowing my eardrums off. And in turbulence, that was hard to find as well. And it was tiny.
Yep. Lots of interesting stuff. Oh, okay. JF-17 looks like touchscreen. It is not. JF-17 is not touchscreen. It's standard, very large format, but just standard color MFDs with buttons around the bezel. And John Blue are talking about dynamic blisters that can form on touchscreens to give you tactile feedback. That's very, very interesting. Tech was called Tactus.
Yes, screens with haptics in them. Yeah, that's a thing that's coming. There's a lot of interesting stuff happening, but like your first sort of generation touchscreen avionics stuff, just dire. It's really doesn't actually help you in the cockpit at all. Like, it looks cool, but just dire.
Actually, one of my favorite things to interact with, as long as you don't need to do text entry, are the twiddly knobs, which, those like an inner and an outer knob with a push. Garmin
your
has
rotary encoders.
Yeah, exactly. Garmin has had those in their radios for the past 50 years, probably, or whatever. And interacting with those is great. Of course, it's usually used on transponders and radios and things like that. But I've seen, like in the G1000, there's a bunch of interfaces that use it as well. That is actually really good because that's you can hold on to that, so you're bouncing about, but your hand is anchored on the encoder, and it's really easy to interact with. So
yeah, rotary encoders are pretty good. Yeah,
I like knobs; they work. Indeed. So, I think that's all the news that we had for this week. So it is probably that usual time of the show when we give the big shout out to the VAF, because as you all may or may not know, myself and dotChuckles here are the founders of the Virtual Air Force. There is a link in the show notes below to our Discord server. We would invite anyone who has any interest in hanging out. It's a huge community now, more than 200 people on the VAF Discord server. We're doing training flights every Tuesday. We're doing missions every Thursday. And we're doing server takeovers on Saturdays on many occasions, along with all kinds of stuff in between. We have a kind of opt-in milsim approach to flying with us, where you can join as a freelancer, do as you like, you don't need to do any training, you can fly whatever aircraft you like and kind of dip in and out of our different sessions, or you can opt to join one of our numbered squadrons, do mandatory training, achieve your type rating and other qualifications, and fly with us regularly in those set aircraft. So we do a bit of all. and everybody is very, very welcome. We're flying. We're kind of based in Europe. We're flying in UK times. Some of us, like me, are in Central European time, but we're all kind of around about UK time zone. So if you're massively outside of that, then it might be problematic for you. But otherwise, all are welcome.
Well, that's kind of why we've introduced the Saturday stuff, because if it's for the sort of US contingent, it sort of makes it a little bit easier for them to get onto something, because it's during the day. But it's a weekend, whereas it's difficult for them to get on during the week. So that's kind of why we've done that. Although we do have some people from Oceania, from Australia, who are in the squadron, and there are a couple of crazy folks who get up very early in the morning to come and fly. To get up very early in the morning to come and fly with us. So yeah. Oh, and Byron saying new Discord layout looking very nice. Yes, that was a 6-hour job. We have just recently refreshed our Discord server. It kind of had grown organically over the last year or so, and it had become this god-awful mess, and everything was difficult to find. So we've just gone and refactored everything and moved stuff around, and trying to do that without losing historic information was a bit tricky.
Yes, indeed.
So we've managed that. So yeah.
Thank you, Byron, for the shout out to 3 Squadron. I am 3 Squadron lead, and 3 Squadron fly the Harrier. We have 2 Squadron who fly the F-16. I now need to look at the list. We have so many squadrons now, I need to actually pick up my phone and look at the damn list. We have 2 5 Squadron who fly the A-10. We have 142 Squadron who fly the F-14. And we have 416 Squadron who fly the Fe-18C.
And we are actually probably only a couple of months off launching a second F-16 squadron, because 2 Squadron is now got so big. They're regularly fielding 2 or 3 full elements. So we're probably looking at spinning up a second F-16 squadron. So
nice.
Yeah, it's nice. The cult of 2 Squadron ever grows.
And we also, we've been talking a bit about having an A4 squadron, which might be centered around training. So that could be a thing that is coming. And of course, 6 Army Air Corps for the Apache will be coming.
Yeah,
just as soon as the Apache does.
When that happens at some point. Well, probably not as soon as the Apache drops, because I think we're going to be investing some time into developing a set of operating procedures that we can use in the squadron, and then once that's done, we'll wrap a formal squadron around it. So I think it'll be a bit of a free-for-all for a while.
Yes. Yeah, definitely. So much good stuff coming. But yeah, big shout out to the VAF. If you have any interest, please join using the link below.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much all we have for this week.
He's
been dotChuckles.
Thank you very much.
He's been dotChuckles. I've been Deepak. I have a tutorial video released every Saturday, currently doing a series on the FA-18C, followed by the DCS news stream, which is this thing, what you're watching right now. Thank you very much, everybody, for watching and for supporting the channel. If you haven't already, please subscribe, like, and comment. The subscriber numbers are going up and up and up. It's mental. It's out of control. Thank you very, very much for your support, everybody. It's really, really good for the channel. So thank you very much. Hope you've all enjoyed the stream, and